my friends, it is market review time, so we are going to review the real estate market. I'm going to take a little different angle this time. I try very hard to only give you the information that's necessary and not waste your time. Sometimes I tend to ramble, but I do my best to not do that too. So I'm going to take a little different angle this time and try to only give you the necessary info, especially for those of you who have been following these. I don't want to regurgitate a whole lot, but I want to give you a picture of what's going on in the real estate world, especially the Denver real estate market. So today, I usually look at Megan Aller's report. I'm going to look at the Denver Metro Association of Realtors, DMAR. I'm going to look at their report just to give you a little different look on the numbers because they put things into context a little bit differently. Only 4 pages we're going to look at, then we're going to jump to something else. So, like I said, doing my best not to waste your time. But here's what's going. This is the report for December 2022. This shows November's most recent numbers. What I want you to look at here, and let me grab my little draw thing, and what I want you to look at is this number first of all. Okay, this is November 22. This is active listings. 6,253. Okay. What does that mean in context? Well, it's still a lot compared to November of last year. It's 3 times as much. Hence, the change we've seen in our market. Things have softened. If you've been following this or anything, you know it's much different. It favors buyers much more than it did at the same time last year. But also, it has come down significantly since September. So what we're seeing is the normal seasonal pullback in active listings. This is generally something that happens between August, September, and the end of the year. Everything just, people are doing other stuff. They're not listing as many homes. The homes that are on the market are going under contract. Again, not at a high of a rate as they would in the spring or summer, but this is what we're happening. And so this is what we're seeing happening. So when we look at this, it falls in a normal seasonal pattern. And for 2 years, our real estate market has been not normal at all. So this, in context, is more of a shift towards normality. We can then expect this to come down again one more time near the end of the year. Then starting in January, February, probably more like February, we will start to see it more active listings come on, but also more transactions happen by quite a bit because you'll see this purplish burgundy number is closed units in November. We had 2,800, which is obviously down from the height of the market in May, but it's also down a lot. Whoops, I circled the wrong thing, but it's kind of the right thing, but it's down a lot from November of last year. So last year we were still in the frenzy, even though November was a different seasonal part of the frenzy. This year the frenzy has died down. What will happen of the frenzy? Is it completely gone? Will we have another mini frenzy again in the spring? It's possible. We don't know. Let's read on. Next slide. All I want to show you here is median close prices. They haven't done that much. Basically, again, seasonally, we expect home prices, the median close price, to drop a bit from, let's say, July through the end of the year. And in July, they started dropping in June. They were at 670. And now they're at 615. So that's a significant drop. But you will see they are still up year over year. 600,000 median last year. That's in detached. We're looking at both, but let's just look at detached here. And 615 in November of this year. So we're still seeing a year-over-year rise. So when people come out and tell you real estate prices are falling, this is a bad time to XYZ because everybody's a freaking expert, especially the people that are not in the industry. They are wrong because real estate prices are falling since June, but that, you can tell them, is a typical seasonal cycle. That happens every year in a normal year. When we look at our real estate prices going up or down, we look at them year over year. And year over year, we are still up from 2021 to 2022. The more you know. Next slide. What do we have? This is very simple. Average days in MLS. If you guys have been following this, this is calculated a little differently. When I look at Megan Aller's reports, you'll get a little different numbers because she looks at showing data and DMAR looks at the raw transactional stats in the MLS, I guess. So we're seeing the low average days on the MLS of 8. Megan Aller would say more like 4, which really falls in line with what I've seen because in the height of the market, places were on almost exclusively for one weekend and then done. But the point is you'll see a dramatic change, whether we're talking about attached or detached. 30 days, 36 days on market. It is a different world. You have to be ready to not just leave for one weekend and then have your house under contract. If you're selling, you have to be ready to have a longer term, more sound strategy. If you're a seller, there are certain corners you could cut that you cannot cut anymore. Staging is absolutely vital. Professional presentation, photography, videography, which, guys, honestly should be the price of admission at this point. Those things are necessities. And if your real estate is not doing that, that is a big problem. You are not going to have as much success if that's the case. No more cutting corners. You need a great strategy. You need to be patient. You need to not freak out. I think I've said that a lot, but I want to reiterate it here. Last slide, new listings. Yes, basically this is what you can see. There are fewer new listings on the market. Again, seasonally, listings will peak in the summer and then new listings will drop. So this is more of a normal move to a normal real estate seasonal market. This is also why we're seeing the total number of active listings drop, even as closed transactions are down to maybe half of what they were last year. We're still seeing the active listings drop because of there's just far fewer listings. And at this point, the market's going all over the place. We probably need inventory to pull back a little bit to stabilize things a little bit more after they already came and stabilized from this extreme seller's market. Now it's still technically a seller's market, but it does favor buyers quite a bit and quite a bit more than we've seen in a long time, and that is making people confused. But why is this all happening? And again, we've talked about this before. I'm just pulling up a CNN article about interest rates. Interest rates shot up extremely fast. I think the fastest in history. They were at 3%, and then all of a sudden they were at 7%, and that happened in a matter of about 6 months. So that is why the whole market is topsy-turvy, and obviously interest rates have an inverse relationship with buyer demand. As they go up, buyer demand goes down because it affects affordability quite a bit, and that's why prices have fallen significantly since the height of the summer as well. People just aren't able to afford as much. Now, let me get my draw tool out here. But the point is, this is from last week. This is still from early December. And mortgage, like the important part here, third straight week of falling mortgage rates. So after they have shot up so dramatically, they sort of stabilized and then wobbled a little bit. And for 3 weeks in a row, we have had mortgage rates fall, which is, in general, probably a good sign. With how fast they've risen. So right now they average 6.5%. What's the point here? Is the point, mortgage rates are down to 6.5%. That's great. Now it's good for buyers. No. But when we've seen 3 straight drops, that means that, it says it here, these rates are following reports that inflation may have finally reached its peak. So what we're seeing is, because of those 3 straight drops, things may start going in that direction, in the opposite direction from what they have been doing, which is up, 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 up. Now we're seeing them cool and finally come down a little bit. And these reports from the Fed and all these money people that say, well, we may have actually gotten inflation under control, partially due to these aggressive interest rate hikes. Now, if we do have inflation under control, theoretically, they don't need to be doing these aggressive hikes anymore, and mortgage rates will continue to fall. That's the idea. Nobody actually knows what's happening. Jerome Powell over here says on Wednesday they could start pulling back the pace of the aggressive hikes. That's what they say. And what else did he say? It's kind of hilarious if we scroll down here. I love this here. This guy's great, Jerome Powell. He's like, hey, don't worry. Despite these promising developments, we have a long way to go. He is determined to get inflation under control, which is probably a good thing. But it's like, don't feel good about anything. It's still going to suck for a while. And then they tell it's going to suck, and then people act like it's going to suck, and the tail kind of wags the dog. That's interesting things that happen with fiscal policy and recessions and stuff like that. But basically, that's it, guys. Things in terms of mortgage rates are moving in the right direction, and I don't want them to come all the way back down to 3% because that is great for some people, but it's not, great for the health of the overall real estate market. Those bidding wars and feeding frenzies, that just wasn't good for anybody. It'll never come back. Well, we don't know never. But for mortgage rates to come back down into the threes is unlikely, at least for a long, long time. What is going to happen? People will tell you what's going to happen. Nobody knows. That's the truth. Nobody knows. All we can do is look at the data and what it seems like the trends are pointing to, and that's a stabilization of mortgage rates and maybe a bit of a drop. What's going to happen in the first 2 quarters of 2023? If mortgage rates do continue to drop and come back down into the 5s, you're going to see more buyer activity because it's part of the seasonal cycle, spring selling season. Typically, that's what it is. And affordability is going to improve. And so that is going to make, I don't know if it's going to be bidding wars. It might be a mini frenzy. I don't even know if I'd use that word. But right now, if you're a buyer, you are able to get concessions on so many properties. I don't know what the percentage is, but I feel like if I take a buyer out on 70 to 80% of the houses we see, we can get seller concessions and we can probably get that place for under asking price. If mortgage rates continue to drop, that's going to change. There's going to be more buyers out there. That's not going to happen. Our place is going to be going $50,000 to $100,000 over asking again. I don't know, but it will be a less buyer-friendly market. So the point is, if you are looking, the numbers have to work. But if you're a buyer and you're out right now, you are getting a discount on the purchase price of your home because of where mortgage rates are. If you can make those numbers work, and then obviously, if they come down, you can always refi. You can never refi a purchase price. You can always refi a mortgage rate, not always, but generally refi a mortgage rate if it comes down. If you have cash right now as a buyer, I know a lot of people don't, but if you do, it's a cheat code. Waiting, if you have cash, is not a good idea because, like I said, we don't know what rates are going to do. Signs are pointing to them stabilizing or coming down. Once they do, more people come in the market. If you have cash, you're not affected by rates at all. It is a great idea to at least get out there if you are a cash buyer and see what's available and see what you can get because it's a really good time. That is it, guys. As always, if you have questions, please let me know. I would love to be your go-to Denver real estate resource. You know that. I say that all the time, but that's true. I'm not just a guy on the screen. Call me. Let's talk. Let's figure this out. Otherwise, we'll talk soon.